Welcome to the brand new season of the Dr. Karin Show here at the Lighter Side Network. I am so excited that we're here meeting again. We've grown so much. We have a new painted set. Jamie has spent a lot of time redoing this set. So we've got mustard up behind us and whitewashed walls. Doesn't it look awesome? Jamie's so talented. I'm so lucky to work with her. I'm going to let you guys know of a few things that are going on before we go and dive into this great conversation that's going to just totally light you guys up. We're going to have this amazing new event here. It's going to be called the Alive Expo, and it's going to be in April, the weekend of April 21st to 22nd. So you can find all the information at thelightersidenetwork.com or with loveandlight.com, which is the website for the Center for Love and Light. So that's what's going on with us. I'm going to be doing a Mother's Day retreat down at Serenville on Mother's Day weekend. I can't wait. Those of you that are from Georgia, especially if you live in South Georgia, Serenville is this amazing farm down in South Georgia. And this will be our second annual one. So we go and we do like relaxation stuff, and we're going to reboot you. I can't wait for that. And just one more thing I'm going to remind you guys, I have those 2 new courses up online. And if you want to get in the first wave, these are new communities that are forming right now. And I'm so excited. I have a mastermind if you want total life transformation and you're waking up and you want a guide to get you to up-level you to the next level. Go on my website, drkarin.com. That's DOCTORKARIN.com, and click on the Root Down Fire Up Mastermind. It's a 6-module online course. You can go at your own pace. It's got so much in it. I do channeling, I do messages from my guides, I do meditation, teaching, and exercises. It's really total life transforming. And my other course is the Break the Rules Challenge, just for women. And if you're trying to break out of a rut and you want to change the way you're living your life, you want to come out a little bit bolder, and you really want to just kind of up-level your self-confidence and your self-love and find out who you really are, this is the challenge for you. It's a monthly newsletter program. It has a tribe. I give you a challenge once a month, and that is the Break the Rules Challenge at my website, drkarin.com, and you can join the community that is forming. There are some rock star women in there. I can't wait. All right, so now we're going to get to talk to a wonderful woman who is actually local, and she is just amazing. Her name is Beth Peters. She is a psychic and medium, and she also does animal communication, which we've already talked about. We're going to do a show with my dog, because I have a new dog, and I can't figure out what he's trying to say to me. So this is my girl. Wouldn't that be a great show? We're going to do it. So I've been on Beth's show. She does a show called Psychic Soup over at the United Intentions Foundation, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about everything that has kind of led her up to being a psychic medium. In the past, when I've gone and gotten readings from Beth, she works with several other women, Sheila Polstein and, or is it Sheila Polstein?
Polstein.
Sheila Polstein. Sorry, I should know that. I just call her Sheila.
The X.
And
Lisa the X, which I called Lisa Thex for years, and I'm so embarrassed. She didn't
well,
correct me.
So if you guys go back in the archives in the show, she was one of my first guests, and Lisa is amazing. She talked all about, we're trying to unwoo-woo, the woo-woo stuff.
That's so me.
And she talked about her name.
Yes.
It's
did she?
Really cool story.
Okay.
But it's the name of the office is the Mystical Muses, right?
Yes, the Magical Muses Metaphysical Center.
Muses.
Yes, magical. So, and we have a sign right outside our office now that just says Magical Muses, so you'll see us. Yeah. And it's in Buckhead, and it's in the shopping center called Kate's Center. Mm-hmm. So it's really easy to find off of East Andrews Drive.
Probably see me in there if you go in there, because I'm in there once a week talking to somebody.
She's a frequent flyer.
I love it. Well, Sheila does, she's an astrologist, and she's amazing, and Beth has her specialty, and which we're going to get to, and Lisa does, and we're doing a plug for you guys, because we love you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Because you guys have helped change my life. I mean, when I had my awakening, you guys were up at Cafe Jonah, and my opening up had so much, I needed so much guidance, and so I found you guys. And so I, of course, want to plug the people that helped me find my way to the light.
Thank you. It's a blessing. Thank you.
Yeah, you're one of them.
I pray for people like you. That's exactly what I hope to get in our office. Exactly. And it's so much fun working with women and men too, but anyone that wants to improve their lives, I know the age of self-help has been there forever, but I think this is a different level of self-help, and it's connecting more spirituality with the self-help. It's more about empowering yourself.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the type of clients I pray for. I love talking to dead people with the mediumship. I love talking to animals, but more importantly, I love watching people grow. Yeah. That's like my favorite, and that's what I pray for all the time. all the
Yeah,
time.
because to me, I pray for people that are ready.
Yeah.
Like I'm a clinically trained therapist. You guys know that, and I know you've done work before this too, and so we know that there's like a preparedness.
Absolutely.
But once that shift happens, I'm like, you can happen the moment you allow it. But
Yes.
I want people to have already like gotten to the point where they're ready to allow the shift. I mean, that's the ideal client. Of course, people
It
that
is
are
ideal.
just curious can come in too. But
Yes.
so tell me why that's so important, because we're going to talk about like allowance and intention and intuition. So why? Yeah, talk about that piece. Why?
Well, it's funny. In one of my earlier struggles when I first started doing this work, before I started being really specific and praying for the type of client I wanted, I used to have clients come in that were really, it was really about what Carl Woodall is a good friend of mine, and I took psychic development through him, and he coined the phrase paid and laid.
Paid and laid. All right, tell us what that means. I love
Paid and
it.
laid is people that want to know when they're going to get paid and when they're going to get laid.
That's hilarious. They come in for a paid and laid reading.
Yes.
That is so great. Don't pretend like you haven't done it.
No, I know, right? So at first, I attracted a lot of that. And I charged, oddly enough, my fee used to literally be $1 a minute. So it does not sound like, a psychic sex call. If you ever could
yes,
see
it
it
does.
coming. Yeah.
1-800 paid and laid.
Yeah. Well, let's just say that's not the best kind of clients you want to attract.
But this is so important, though. I love that you're talking about this, because I don't think we've addressed this on the show about setting the intention. And I mean, this is hilarious, but the energy of what you're expecting and then what shows up, because we do have a lot of people that watch this show that are healers.
Right.
So keep going, because I love
It
this.
is so important. It's actually one of the things I coach the most when I talk about other women go into business, because it would be a dream come true for me if we had literally this type of business on every corner.
Yeah.
Because I think it's so important for all of us to start helping each other wake up. And it's my mission. It's on my business card. Awakening. I channeled this. It was awakening the souls of others is the responsibility of those who have begun to awaken.
Oh, I love
that. And that came straight from God. So that's on my business card. That's my mission. So I would love for that to be the case for everyone. Now, when you start this work at first, you're going to get a little bit of contrast, because you don't really know how to put that intention of what kind of clients you want.
Right.
But I looked at it as this way: if this is what I'm going to do for a living, and I want to have fun doing it, and I want to enjoy my experience, then why not put out exactly what I want? So I set that intention for not only for the clients that I can help, but that would also be a compliment to me that I can learn from. So I get the best of both worlds. Not only do I get to do what I want for a living, but I also get to learn through other people, and I get all kinds of divine opportunities and divine meetings. And it's so funny, you can tell the minute someone walks in the office and you start seeing all those signs and synchronicities between each other, and I'm like, I know God sent you. There's no question. God sent you. Totally. There's no coincidence. There's no mistake. So I had to get over this, but I almost feel guilty, because I feel like I'm getting paid and getting something out of it at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
But you can definitely set the intention.
But that's the ideal job. That's what you want. That's flow. That's alignment. That's how you know you're doing your work.
It is. Now, I will have to tell you, I had to pray about it a lot, because I remember I had listened to a podcast one time, and I don't remember who the author was, but someone was talking about, you don't always want to just work with people that are yes people that will compliment you, because you want to be able to see the shadow side, so you actually have challenges.
Right.
So I kind of felt guilty for a little while, and I thought, well, that's true. In order for me to do a good job, I need to be able to see both sides. Well, I'll tell you, I tried it, and it was so funny. Every now and then I would say, okay, go ahead and send me some difficult ones, and I'd do it for like 2 weeks. Literally everybody that walked in the door was difficult. That's how easy it is to manifest. And then I'd say, okay, I'm done. I've learned enough. I've learned enough. I want to go back to my Pollyanna world. And but one of my daughters, I have 5 children, and one of my daughters, the day that it really became real to me was when she literally thought I was doing like phone psychic sex calls, but not really sex. Do you know what I mean? $1 a minute.
Right.
And she's very creative. She's an artist, and she created this poster that said, if you want to get paid and laid, call Beth, 1-800 paid and laid. And she made this little jingle up, and it's a poster that's hanging in my room, and she named it, are you ready? This is embarrassing. Psychic Slut. So I was like, that's it. I'm done. I'm not the psychic slut.
Right. That's
so I upgraded my intentions, and I have lived within that now from now on, and I'm very comfortable with that now.
I love that. That's a funny story, but I love that we're talking about. It's also honoring your practice, you
Yes.
know, and honoring it with, because I've done the same thing. I've really refined what I do, because I have this clinical background, and I've worked in hospitals, I've worked in inpatient, I've worked with very mentally ill people, and in lockdown units. Like,
Right.
yeah, they have to be psychotic to be submit. So I learned exactly the work I do not want to do, but I learned so much, and
Yes.
I learned how to notice it, and I also learned great compassion.
Right.
But because of that, I know which clients are not mine. Like, I don't want to work with addiction. Like, that's just
Right.
something that is just not my specialty.
Right.
Because of certain things from my history.
Same with me.
Yes.
Same with me.
So that's in my prayer. And now I
Right.
put it in my sheet for them when they come in. It's a refinement process. When clients come in, I'm very clear if there are any addictive issues. Like, you need to have that cleared and or in a program if we're going to work together, and your intention. I mean, not that you can't come in if there's a history.
Right.
Because of
Right.
course we all have stuff in our history.
Well,
but
and we're not snobs either. You know.
no. I just
mean,
want you to
appreciate
have
it.
committed. You know, so I'm just
Exactly.
intentional, and just like whatever you do for a living, you want the clients to come to you that are ready for your services, or that are in alignment
Yes.
with your product, or with your teaching, whatever it is. And so to me, you're in alignment if you know that this is an issue here, and you're also working on it and honoring that this needs to also be taken care of, because we're not going to move anywhere.
Right.
You know, if this isn't. So I just wanted to add that. So for those of you that are refining, like, that is exactly what the process is for.
And another thing that I refined, and I love the way you use that word, because I just set the intention and put it out there in the universe, in the ethers. But thank you to Carl and the Sandy Anastasia system that I was certified through. We were taught the morals and values of doing readings. And one of the biggest things I learned was you don't ever read someone without their permission. And that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
So when you have people coming in about relationships and issues and things like that, it's a little difficult, because I can read off of them, I can read their energy, and I could probably get a lot about the relationship by reading them and what's for their highest good, but I'm not going to pry into that other person, you know, in that reading. It's rude, it's not polite, and it's just, it's a big deal for me to make sure that privacy is respected. So, I mean, think about it. Would you want someone going into a psychic and asking about you?
Right.
That's just not fair.
Yeah, it's like addressing somebody without their permission.
Exactly.
I mean, I love that.
Exactly.
Can you, well, that speaks to, there's so many people that misunderstand. And that speaks to when people are doing it with intention and ethics and at the highest good, like, that's part of the process.
Yes.
I really want to talk to you about, like, what it's like to be a psychic. Can we go there?
Sure.
Like, how that is for you, because I think everyone's intrigued by that. Like, the process, like, so what's happening. So dogs and humans, I want to talk about both.
Okay.
So, you know, when you're in there and you're picking up and you're reading somebody, what is that process like for you? What are you going through when you're reading somebody?
Well, I have found it to be very different depending on who's sitting in the chair, the client. And what I've figured out through the years of doing this is that you're going to receive the information the way the person needs to receive it. So the way the client needs to receive it. So first of all, I go through a ritual of getting in channel, and I do a prayer, I can't say it. Prayerful, you know, that I do silently, where I ask to be in touch with their spiritual team, and I ask for my spiritual team, and that just includes anyone and everyone that's working for their highest good. I ask for that communication, and I ask to be able to receive messages and be able to deliver them in a manner in which they can receive them.
And we've talked about how important that is.
Yes.
That language piece.
Very, very important.
And you told me that in our last radio show that we just did. I was just on her show, and you said that to me, and I've been adding that in the way that you said it to my prayer. So thank
good.
you.
Yay. I
For
like
that, to find the words, because people have their own vocabulary that's comfortable.
They do.
And we need to meet people where they are.
Absolutely. And I tease people that when I'm not in channel, I have a hard time talking.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I need to be in channel so I can talk. But so it's a little bit different for everyone. So, but the most common thing for me is just this interjection of knowing that just enters my head, you know. And yes, sometimes it's very visual, sometimes it's wordy, sometimes it's cryptic, like I'll just get signs and symbols and things like that. But it's dictated in the moment in what that person really needs to hear in their message. So, and the beauty of it is afterwards, I don't remember it. You know, a few hours goes by and it's gone because it wasn't for me, it was for them. So it just comes through me. It's not from me. So that's what that's like. But when I was young, when I first realized I was psychic, it was actually more like prophetic dreams.
Right.
It was just this sense of knowing things before they were going to happen. It was very prophetic type stuff. And then I would be, I can remember being in high school going, oh, I knew that was going to happen. Oh, wow. Why did I know that was going to happen? Or I knew I was going to meet this person named so-and-so today. And I just didn't really understand it.
Don't you think that everybody really has?
Oh, yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
But you're more in tune and you're going back, and some of it's more heightened. But I think that everybody
has
right?
the ability. They do.
Yeah, if you look back. But yeah, so go ahead. I want to hear about the journey there, because oftentimes there's sometimes people stuff it, or we do other things, and so talk about how you found yourself from knowing that you could sense what was going to happen. What happened between then and
well, I really firmly believe it's a choice of what you want to do. I have found that artistic people, which I am, and I grew up in theater, all my kids are entertainers, so we're colorful people, know, and I love talking to people think about it, getting paid to talk to people, that's the best job in the world.
Yeah, I know.
So I worked at the school system for 18 years, and
what were you doing?
I was an administrative assistant at the same school at Brookwood Elementary.
Okay.
And raised my kids through the Brookwood cluster so they could all go to Brookwood.
5 kids. That's amazing.
So,
you look so young. I would just say.
Thank you.
Not only does she have 5 kids, but she told me earlier there are 3 grandkids.
Yes. One is 2 alive here and 1 on the way. So technically all 3 alive.
Okay.
But
right.
But my 3rd grandbaby is actually due on Mother's Day. So
wow.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. So
okay, I'm sorry. So you were at the kids' school.
Yes. And so I was, it was important for me to be with my children growing up. So I did that, and when that time was up, my last 2 got to high school, and I was like, okay, it's time to do what I really want to do. And I had received this calling years ago that I was to serve God, but I didn't know how. And so I ended up taking, I never thought I would be a psychic. I mean, like a professional psychic.
Right.
I always knew I was going to work with people in some sort of coaching way, but I never imagined it was going to be this.
Right.
And just one synchronicity led to another, and I ended up taking psychic development courses and getting more and more, I guess you would say, more in tuned, knew the ethics, knew how to control it, knew how to be able to have boundaries, all the things that are really important, knew what skills were what, put identifiers to what those skills were, exactly what type of readings I was doing and things like that. So, but what I was going to tell you earlier is I really think everybody has this ability, but much like any career, being a doctor, being a counselor, being a school teacher, it's what you desire in your heart and what you choose to expand on.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's not that I'm any more talented than anyone else. I just chose to dive into it and learn. And I still, just like in the Gwinnett County school system, we have to do 20 hours a year of professional development. Right. I still respect that rule in my own career. Yeah, and I always go, I went to a conference last night, I'm always learning. I never stop, because if you stop, well, you might as well die. So I'm just always trying to learn more, learn how I can serve better. I just started volunteering at a hospice clinic, and yeah, that's amazing.
That's powerful.
It's amazing, and it's very, I'm not going to say the name of it because they're very open about me being a psychic there, and I'm able to communicate with those that can't speak, that are nonverbal, and I can tell them their needs.
Huge.
Yeah, so it's huge. That was another thing. God just led me there, and I'm just so grateful.
Wow.
And that was a calling I had received a few years ago too. I was told that I would help babies be born and people go out, and I remember saying, but how? And I heard very clearly in my mind, don't worry about how. When the time is right, you'll see. And if that's the one thing that I can teach people that are in my office is be patient. We're not supposed to know the end of the story all the time. If you receive a nudge that you're supposed to be doing something, all you have to simply do is say yes and agree to it. And then the rest just starts unfolding. You take action steps when you're inspired to take those action steps. If you feel a nudge for someone to call someone because they asked you about something, call them, follow those little steps. That's what leads. Those baby steps is what leads you to what your desires are. And then on top, the last thing I want to say is on top of that, I have found now that I'm quote unquote there, you're never there. You're always expanding and learning. You're always upgrading. You're always wanting to do more, learn more. And I think that's the most fascinating part of this. Will I still be doing this 10 years from now? I have no idea. Yeah. It just depends on where I feel inspired to go, So I guess that's the short answer to your question.
Oh, it's beautiful. I'm like, But I love that you're talking so much about the purpose of the steps and the intention of it, and it doesn't. And I love how we're wrapping everybody into it, because yes, it's cool because what you do is super interesting, but it's with whatever you do.
Yes.
And you're right, like we're still malleable and we're growing, and there's an intention, and you're right, like I respect that so much about you, that you're continuing to grow and you're purposeful about being leading edge and seeing what's new and listening to new ideas and going and staying open, because you're right, that's how it is in counseling too. You have to get so many hours, those of you that are in those kinds of fields of CEUs, training hours to keep you current.
Right.
And actually I just recently I've been super interested in spiritual education, and I've done that forever. Mostly I do it online. I watch videos.
Me too.
Yeah, training.
Me too.
Yeah, every day. But I really lately committed to going back and looking at research in the field that I was trained in, because I think just with my PhD, I think it helps to round it off.
Yes.
So I just made that commitment to
it makes you so qualified for what you're doing and teaching your classes. And your classes are unbelievable, because that is what I really preach to everyone, is to continue to upgrade yourself, continue to up level. We're not ever supposed to be stagnant. We're not supposed to be comfortable. Right. You can be comfortable for like a week, and then you need to move your cheese and you need to do something else, because that's why we're here, in my opinion. It's to grow. And
and the discomfort, it just means that you're growing.
Exactly.
And I think the piece about it was meant for me for the past 4 years to dive so deeply into spiritual teaching, and so none of it's wrong, and I mean it's all exactly as it should be. So it's not like I should have been looking at psychology research. That was the time. So now my spirit's like, okay, you know what, we're pretty saturated here. I still listen to Esther Hicks every day.
Yes, me too. I listen to her too every day.
So many people, and now I've been
go to sleep listening to Hay House Radio.
Yes, I love it. And now I've been listening. I'm going to plug her because I'm going to have her on my show. Manifestation Babe. I've been listening to her.
I can't wait to hear her. You were telling me about her.
She's amazing. And Lewis Howes, he's making it big. I listen to his podcast. So anyway, I look at the younger, they're younger than me, and so I'm listening because they're using a new language.
Right.
And so now, it's time, like you said, the nudge, which I love, that's a word that Esther uses a lot, like those nudges and those impulses to grow. And so, something in me said, Karin, just Google this and just look at some research on this right now. And as I'm doing my coursework, I'm writing about vibration, and something said, go look at the science behind the energetic vibration of the earth, and I want you to put this in your teaching. So I'm going in, and I'm like, because it grounds us.
Yes. Absolutely.
Research and things like that.
Absolutely. Well, and it's also, I think that this is the way we always get to those points when we're supposed to, when we're supposed to receive it. And you wouldn't have gotten it earlier if your work wasn't ready for it, or even your clientele wasn't ready for it. So now, not only are you expanding and growing, but your clients are also expanding and growing. So they're ready for it too. So it's not just for you, it's for them.
It's so true. Aren't you so glad to be alive right now?
I'm so glad.
Evolving.
And I think that was one of the biggest things for me. As I remember being in situations where my vibration felt very different from others, and I thought, why isn't everybody living like this? It's so much more simple. Why do people live upstream and work against the current? Why would you choose that? So, I mean, if there's people like us using these platforms, which I'm so grateful for, thank you to the audience, share this with everyone you know. If we can just reach a few hundred people, do you realize how much good you're doing? It's true. I know there's a story, and I don't know it, so I'm not going to say it, but it's something about walking on the beach, and the man was picking up seashells one at a time. And I think somebody said, why are you doing that? There's 1 million seashells out there. And he said, yeah, but this one, it matters to this one, you know. So
yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, he was saving. Maybe it was starfish.
Starfish.
Yeah. You guys know the story.
Yeah, I wouldn't have said it if you didn't know it.
Yeah, but about the one that matters, and I'm always because sometimes I am craving more followers, and we want the message out, and I've had to stop myself lately from looking at that, because you're right, it comes down to one, and if it can be 1 million, yay. But I'm like, Karin, my prayer is just the one person watches, stop looking at the numbers, because they will show up when and if they're supposed to show up.
Exactly.
So I got really kind of lost for a little bit, and trying to up because I'm trying to get a new book deal, and I'm like, I need to get my numbers up.
Nope, it's not.
But then I pulled back, and I'm like, Karin, and I actually started laughing, because the more I was staring at my Instagram following, it was going down. So like last week, I'm like, oh,
Such
oh my
a
God,
humbling
I lost 5
experience.
more. I lost 5 more. And so I was like, I'm just going to laugh at this. So the
Yes.
past few days I've been picking it up and I'm like, oh, 2 more people fell off. That is hilarious. And I'm like, I'm just going to laugh and I'm just sending it to the light. I'm like, you know what, light? Whoever is supposed to be here will be here, and I'm
Yes.
letting it go.
You know, one of the biggest things I learned, being in the entertainment field, you learn a lot about entertainment, which I love. And one of the things I learned is never look yourself up. Don't ever look at your reviews, which I have never looked at my reviews.
Yeah.
Don't look at your numbers, your social media numbers. Who is supposed to show up will show up. And let's just say you reached 1,000 people. Do you really think 1,000 people are really going to hear that message and receive it? No. There's only going to be the right amount. The people that needed to hear it in that moment will hear it. And, you know, for my radio show that I do every Monday, I pray for that. I just say, you know, whoever is supposed to hear this today, if it's something that they need to hear, I hope they tune in. You know, give them that nudge.
Yeah, the one, and no matter what you do, you can say that. Like how, help me to show up in the places I'm supposed to show up, help me to have the words. And my favorite thing to get as far as feedback goes on any comments is always when someone says, thank you, that is exactly what I needed to hear.
Yes.
I mean, even if just one person does it, it just lights me up because I'm like, thank you, God, for meeting me in this space and this person in that moment. Because I write what I feel. I'm always writing what is coming up for me. And I think, well, maybe nobody else is going to relate.
Well, no, even more. I love it when it's a confirmation, like where they'll say, thank you, that is exactly what I heard. And now I've heard you repeat it, which means I know it's true. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
So it's almost like some people will say, you literally said exactly what I had heard in my own heart and mind. So yeah, I think God uses all of us in those ways.
For you, how beautiful is it that you're confirming to them the wisdom of their own inner voice?
That's exactly what it is. I want to teach them that they have the control of this. I try really hard with every client I have in my office, whether they're really coming to talk to their dead grandmother, or they're there for grief, or they're there, you know, there's a number of reasons. They need help with their children. I really try hard to leave them with some sort of empowerment where they can do this on their own. You know, it's not my mission to have people addicted to psychics or have people feel the need to come back over and over again. It's really my mission to be able to serve them and release them. Because there's so many people out there to serve. There's more than enough to go around. I mean, even if there was one on every corner, there's still more than enough. There's no competition.
Yes, but that is so huge. I say that same exact thing. And I love when I'm sitting and asking, because I do too. I go to you guys for confirmation and validation, but I'll hear the answer as I'm asking it.
You already know the answer.
You do. And it's not just me, but I've tuned in and I'm allowing it. And then I'm like, and I agree. Like, I love that. And it is, you want to have them open up that own wise space inside their own intuition, which is the same direct channel you have. You've just learned how to allow it, but to teach them, you did know it.
Yes.
And I'm going to say something else here in a minute that you're going to know, and it's going to light you up even more, and put in concrete that trust, that inner knowing, that still small voice inside of each of us.
You know, I think the best example of that is talking to your animals. Talking to animals to me is the easiest thing in the world. And a lot of people will say, well, that's because they're easy to read because they're so transparent. It's really not. It's actually more about trusting yourself because they don't use words and you're literally using telepathy and mind reading them. And people don't realize it, but they're mind reading their animals all the time. Right. They know what their needs are. Right. They know when they're hungry. They know when they need to go out. It's not just the way they bark.
You're totally right.
They know. You can look in their eyes and you know exactly what they're saying to you. So I love to use the animals as an example. So usually if someone brings me their pet for me to read them, I usually only end up reading them once, and for the rest of the time they're on their own because I'm really showing them how to do it. So think about it. If you can read your animals, you can read anyone, and you can read for yourself. Another tip I like to tell people is if you run into a psychic that says, I can't read for myself, don't. It's a red flag. If you can't read for yourself, if you can't get your own information, why are you reading other people? Right. That's a big no-no for me. Big no-no. So I literally read for myself every day, probably 3 times a day. Right. You know, I'm probably ego-centered by that because I'm always talking. Do you want me to share my favorite tip on how to read for yourself? Yeah. Okay, you ready? This is my favorite tip for reading for yourself. Talk out loud. Okay. Talk out loud. You literally just start a ramble, like a rampage. Like, hey, Beth, what you doing today? I'm going to go to work today. Really? What's your plans? My plans are I've got to see 3 clients today. I'm going to go tape the Dr. Karin Show, and then I have carpool tonight. Okay. Well, is there anything I need to know, Beth? for my highest good today? Well, you probably need to know that your energy's a little low today. You probably need to take your vitamins. You didn't take them yesterday. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Are my vitamins really necessary? Yeah, they're necessary. Your doctor told you needed D3, da-da-da-da. Okay, so I'm using very broad examples, but sometimes you'll hear something like, you really need to go get your car checked because your tires are vibrating and you're ignoring them. You're right, I'm ignoring them. So are you telling me that if I don't get my car checked, that this could be a problem? Yes, I'm telling you that. I've been trying to tell you that for a week and you haven't been listening. Got it. Okay, I'm going to go get my car checked. Do you see what I'm saying?
That's amazing.
You start that out loud conversation.
That.
It works. And the thing that I tell people is to trust what's instantly coming in their head.
Yep.
It's fast. It's a ramble. Don't question it, because what happens is eventually you'll start building a testimony because you'll get your own confirmations of what you were getting. And that's the secret to reading for yourself. It's very easy.
I love that. Yeah, that is so great.
So
I'm so using that. That was so simple and beautiful, and you're right. Before you have a chance to unthink it or judge it or question it, like whatever's coming in, then just keep the rampage, rambling, question, answer going, because that's your higher self.
That is your higher self.
Yeah.
And the out loud, the part about it being out loud to me, that step, it's what it does to me is it squeezes out that monkey brain.
Yeah.
Because you're using out loud language. It keeps, when you're just thinking, you have the ability to multi-think in multi-levels, and you'll start thinking about the laundry at the same time you're talking. Well, when you're talking out loud, you can't do that. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
You can't go to those different depths.
It filters that,
Yeah, exactly. So that's my tip for reading for yourself.
That is so amazing. Oh my gosh. So Beth is so awesome. I can't wait to have her back.
Thank you.
I'm adding something this season, and it is going to be, I've got 10 questions in a bag over here. Although Jamie inspired me today to make a pretty jar, so hopefully I'll show up next time with a jar. But I'm going to have you draw a question.
Okay.
And first I just want to acknowledge that you have been so helpful. You came with, people really like actionable tips, right? Like, what can I do? Like, that the story is so inspiring, but then when you give them things like that, so thank you, because then there's like some stepping, walking,
thank you,
movement. I don't want to say orders, but suggestions.
Yes.
For moving forward, and you've just helped so many people grow and expand. So thank you so much for bringing your light. Everything you said is exactly what it was supposed to be.
You're welcome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
We're already past 30 minutes. We're gonna just get one question.
It goes by so fast.
It goes by so fast. When you're in flow, it always does.
It does. Okay.
Pick a question.
Let's see. I'm gonna ask for the question for my highest good. Okay. What have we got? All right. When you were little, what did you want to be when you grew up? Oh, that's easy. I wanted to be an obstetrician. Right?
What? Tell me about that.
And what's funny is I can lead that in and tell you that I received in channel. Remember I told you a few years ago, I was asked, would you be willing to help people cross over and deliver babies? And I started crying when I heard this in a message to myself. And I thought, I always wanted to deliver babies, but I was not a college candidate. I was talked out of higher education by my mom because my scores weren't very high. Let's just put it that way. She made me feel really... Yeah. It's not her fault. I allowed it, but
she was helping you.
Yeah, and that I should pick a career that was not college oriented. So I didn't fulfill that dream. So I remember in the messages to myself, I thought, I can't deliver children. I don't have a medical degree. Yeah. And I heard from Spirit, don't worry, you don't need one in this situation. We'll let you know what happens. And to get even further deeper, I remember I heard in message, will you be anointed in this blessing? And I said, yes. And I heard, hold out your hands. And I held out my hands. I was in the shower, by the way. Shower is a great place to talk to yourself. And I felt this like a tickle in the palms of my hand. Wow. And I didn't know what it was, but I knew that it was an anointing. And then I felt a tickle at the top of my head. And then I heard, you've said yes to this, and you shall wait, and this will unfold, and you will manifest this. And I just remember crying. And so just recently, the working for hospice just came to fruition, which I did not seek out. They sought me out. And now we'll see what happens with delivering babies.
More to come.
Yes.
That is so, oh my God, Spirit is so present. Like, I can feel it so much. That is so beautiful, because, it supersedes the belief system that we need certain things, which, of course, there's an appropriateness for those. But,
right.
But that there can be a calling, and that we push those requirements that have been embedded in us that make us question ourselves or feel ashamed or whatever, and that we can receive something that beautiful.
Exactly. And we get caught up, and I'm guilty. I think we're all guilty. We get caught up in the house. Yeah. Like, that's impossible. How can you deliver a baby? You have to have a medical license. But through this journey, I've learned not to question things like that. I may not know how, but who knows a few years from now what might come to be with our health insurance and
Right.
people needing care that can't get to hospitals. Who knows how that's going to unveil? And I might be a part of it. I don't know. I
But
mean,
you know, but
I
you've
know
known
to
since you were a
trust.
child, like that was already on your heart.
Yes, I knew that since so I think I could barely talk when I wanted to deliver babies. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So
I can't
yeah.
wait to see how that comes out because I've got all these ideas in my head, but I'm not going to say anything because I want to
Yes,
see
don't say anything.
how her life unfolds. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for being here as your real,
Thank you.
true, wise, just open. You've
you.
had so much travel in your life and you're still traveling, and I think you've inspired me.
Thank
That you've inspired every person that's going to watch this show. So
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me here. I really appreciate that. You're so sweet.
you can find Beth. Let's talk about how they can find you if she
Mm-hmm.
resonates with you. If you want a psychic or mediumship reading or an animal to be read, she can do it in her office, which is here in Buckhead, she was mentioning. And she can also do it over the phone. So talk about how they can find you.
Well, believe it or not, I'm old school, so I do return messages, much to my children's dismay. They're like, Mom, that's so old. But you can call me or text me at 770-712-4010. You can also email me, Beth, at bethpeterspsychicmedium.com. And my website is bethpeterspsychicmedium.com. So you can reach me in any of those ways. And I have Facebook page, I have Instagram. Just look for Beth Peters Psychic Medium and I should pop up.
I follow her on everything, and you'll
Thank
see it.
you.
So I'll have it on my stuff too. Spirit is so. My ears there's like a symphony in my head right now. I love it.
I love that.
It's like a really high pitched ringing. It's beautiful. It's such a blessing to have such awakened people, and I love how grounded you are. Just in every way. So. She's
so
wonderful.
sweet.
So if she resonates, go find her. I want you guys to continue to join me for the rest of season 3. So keep your eyes open for the not just me, but the rest of the shows that are on the lightersidenetwork.com. And I'm going to say goodbye for the show. Remember, when you lead with your heart, you're always going the right direction. Bye, guys.
Bye.